Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another heartfelt and transformative episode of the Path to Enlightenment 333 Healing and Harmony Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tabitha Nelson, or Dr. Tabby Cat, as many of you know me by. I'm a transpersonal counselor, life coach, philosopher, and an advocate for healing, growth, and self-love. Today we're diving into deeply personal and important topic, healing from childhood sexual abuse trauma and creating healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationships as adults. Before we begin, I want to provide a gentle trigger warning. Today's discussion may touch on sensitive and emotional topics. If you need to pause, take a break, or revisit this episode when you feel ready, please honor your feelings. My aim is to provide you a safe and supportive space for everyone on their healing journey. So, before we begin, grab your blanket, your earpods, and your cup of tea. Get comfortable, relax, and we're going to begin with our breathe and relax meditation, which involves inhaling for 7, holding for 7, and then exhaling for 7, and we will repeat this 3 times. All right, and we will begin. 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Thank you. And as we always start off, we start with acknowledging the pain. Let's start by acknowledging how profoundly childhood sexual abuse can affect a person. It's not just the physical act, but the emotional, mental, and spiritual wounds that can linger. Survivors often carry feelings of shame, guilt, anger, and confusion into adulthood. If this resonates with you, please know that your feelings are valid and your experiences do not define your worth or your future. Healing from this kind of trauma takes immense courage, and by seeking to heal, you're already taking the powerful step toward reclaiming your life. Step 1, breaking the silence. One of the most challenging but liberating steps in healing is breaking the silence surrounding your experience. Many survivors carry the burden of secrecy, often instilled by the abuser or societal stigma. However, sharing your story with a trusted therapist, counselor, or support group can be profoundly healing. Start by journaling your thoughts and feelings in a safe, private space. Gradually share your story with someone who will listen without judgment. Remember, you don't owe your story to anyone. Share it when you feel ready. Step 2, releasing shame and guilt. Childhood sexual abuse is never the fault of the survivor. It's essential to release the misplaced shame and guilt that many carry. Affirmations can help. What happened to me was not my fault. I am not defined by my past. I am defined by my strength and resilience. Working with a therapist can also help you dismantle these harmful beliefs and replace them with self-compassion and self-love. Step 3, rebuilding trust. First, with yourself. Abuse often shatters our ability to trust, not just in others, but in ourselves. Rebuilding trust starts with reconnecting to your inner voice and your intuition. Practice self-trust by listening to your gut feelings and acting on them, honoring your boundaries and saying no when needed, recognizing that your needs and feelings are valid and worthy of respect. Step 4, understanding healthy relationships. For many survivors, understanding what a healthy relationship looks like can be challenging. Start by identifying the characteristics of a loving, respectful partnership. Mutual respect and equality, open communication with emotional safety, healthy boundaries, and personal autonomy. It's okay to take your time to learn and practice these principles. Healing is not a race. Step 5. Healing intimacy and reclaiming sexuality. Reclaiming your sexuality can be one of the most empowering steps in your healing journey. Here's how to approach it. Start by connecting with your body through mindfulness, yoga, or gentle movement. Explore your feelings about intimacy in a safe and non-judgmental space. Communicate openly with a partner about your boundaries, fears, and needs. Intimacy is not just about physical connection, it's also about emotional safety. You deserve to feel safe, respected, and loved. All right, on to our practical exercises for healing. Create a healing space. Dedicate a space in your home to your healing journey. Fill it with comforting items like candles, journals, and inspirational quotes. Visualization exercise. Imagine yourself as a child surrounded by love, protection, and light. Tell your younger self, you are safe, you are loved, and you are not alone. Daily affirmations. Use statements like, I am worthy of love and respect, or I am healing more every day. Another great thing is to go on YouTube for free meditations, and they have a great inner child meditation that you can do daily. All right, question and answer segments. I'd love to hear from you. Do you have questions about healing from childhood trauma or creating healthy relationships? Send in your questions and I'll address them in a future episode or on our social media channels. Healing from childhood sexual abuse is a journey, but it's a journey you don't have to take alone. Remember, you are resilient, you are loved, and you are capable of creating a life filled with joy, love, and healthy relationships. Take each step at your own pace and celebrate every moment of growth. As always, I invite your positive and constructive feedback. If you have insights to add or topics you'd like me to explore, please share them in a kind and uplifting way. Together, we can create supportive community for healing and growth. And now, this part of the podcast is a continuance from my story that actually was cut out. All right. And this is my personal story. Okay. And it starts out with the present. I've undergone profound healing, clearing myself from past karmic cycles and living fully aligned with my Dharma. I've even broken free from generational traumas, allowing me to focus entirely on the present and embrace the purpose I was destined to fulfill. A major part of my growth has been establishing strong boundaries, especially concerning my sexuality, a lesson God intended for me to learn. I've been celibate for a significant period, honoring my commitment to wait until divine timing to share that part of myself. When the time comes, it will be with my kingdom spouse, the partner God has chosen specifically for me. Looking back, I now understand that every challenge and experience I faced from birth onward was preparing me to become the spiritual guide, leader, and healer I am today. My academic journey is a testament to this purpose. I've earned more college degrees than I can count, and I know it was all part of God's plan to equip me with the knowledge I'd need to build and run my business independently. More importantly, this foundation enables me to help others spread love and teach what it means to experience true unconditional love, a love that is pure, honest, and transformative. That is why I'm here, to guide, to inspire, and to make a difference in the world. Now, to explain further details on some situations I have gone through in my life, I have experienced plenty of unsettling and frightening moments during my life. Growing up with sexual abuse and trauma from age 3 onward and as well as my time in the club scene. One particular chilling moment was while I was dancing on stage. A man who frequented the club always sat near the wall, tipping me generously. Each time he would lean in to whisper something in my ear, but the music was so loud I could never make out what he was saying. One night I decided to find out. I asked the bartender to turn off the music when I bent down to collect his tip. When she did, I finally heard him clearly. In a dark, menacing voice, he said, "I want to tie you up and choke you to death." This wasn't the first time he had said it. He had been repeating it every time he came in. Although we reported incidents like this, they rarely led to any real action. Another horrifying experience happened after I finished a set and went to grab a drink. I must have turned my back for just a moment, but that's all it took. One of the regular customers spiked my drink with a roofie. Soon after, I began feeling drowsy, disoriented, and could barely speak without slurring my words. At first, everyone thought I had too much to drink, but they quickly realized something was wrong, since I always stayed sober enough to leave safely at the end of the night. While I was still reeling from the effects, the man approached me and kept insisting, "Let me take you home. I'll help you." Thankfully, I knew better than to leave with anyone from the club, and I repeatedly refused. That incident could have ended very differently if I hadn't trusted my instincts. Unfortunately, these kinds of stories were all too common. I saw young girls, many of whom were underage, coming to the club to make money, often under the control of boyfriends who acted as their pimps, exploiting them to earn cash from customers. Not all clubs were safe or respectable places to work. One of the most infamous clubs I worked at was in Tampa, Florida. Despite its reputation for being a luxurious and popular venue, it was one of the worst environments I had ever experienced. The club was run by powerful individuals who shouldn't have been in charge, and even the bodyguard, a police officer, conducted background checks on people. The clientele often included high rollers who came in expecting to get whatever they wanted. In fact, the club would sometimes close its doors to the public and host private events exclusively for these high-profile patrons and their entourages. One night while I was dancing, one of these men approached me and said, "You're new. Do you know about the rules?" Pretending to be clueless, I replied, "No, sir." He smirked and told me to ask one of the other girls and then come back to him. When I spoke with the other dancers, they told me exactly what those rules entailed. I initially thought I could refuse, but I quickly learned this was not going to be an option. My boss made it clear that I had to comply no matter how uncomfortable I felt. The boss at the club had strict and invasive rules. Upon entering, he would confiscate our phones and purses, leaving us completely cut off from the outside world. If someone repeatedly called, he would answer the phone himself and wouldn't tell us until the end of the night. I vividly remember one night when the manager informed me of a private dance he had arranged for me in the back room. It was with the man who frequently paid well, but his expectations went far beyond a dance. At the club, dancers were expected to pay out a significant portion of their earnings to the bartender, the DJ, the bouncers, and a house fee. On top of that, any tips earned from private dances were split, with the club taking more than half. That night, I felt trapped and degraded. The environment was suffocating, like being a prisoner. We weren't allowed to leave early or even step outside during our shifts. When I finally made it home, I confided in my partner about what happened. His response was firm and immediate: "You're never going back there again." Another unsettling experience happened during my ride home one night. I usually took a taxi with the same driver, someone I trusted and who knew where I lived. But one evening, my usual driver wasn't there. Instead, I was met by someone I didn't recognize, a man with a strong Haitian accent. I don't remember the exact details of what happened, but I woke up lying down in the back seat of the taxi. Disoriented, I instinctively reached forward and touched the driver on his shoulder. He immediately got out of the vehicle, and I noticed the van parked beside us. Living in Florida, I was aware of the dangers of human trafficking, particularly for women working in clubs. Traffickers often targeted women to smuggle them across international waters where intervention became nearly impossible. That night could have ended very differently, and I am forever grateful that I was able to make it out safely. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who might need it, and leave a review. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and remember you're deserving of love and happiness. Take care, and bye for now. And as always, we end it with a poem. This one is by an anonymous writer who published it on January 10th of 2025. I speak in silence, an eloquence I never asked for. My words are heavy, weighed down by the things unsaid. I've learned the language of pain, how it curves in the throat, how it tightens the chest, how it slips into the quiet, a native tongue now fluent in my mouth. I understand the grammar of fear, the syntax of trembling hands, the punctuation of a stifled breath. Each pause is a question, each sigh a statement. I know how to translate my discomfort into something that stays hidden, something that doesn't need to be heard. But I never wanted to learn this language, never chose this lessons that scars my skin. No one asked me to become fluent in broken promises, the unspoken threats. But now I speak it without thinking, understanding every nuance, the weight of every unspoken word. I wish I could forget the conjunction of tears, the tense of a heart always on edge, the way my voice trembles like a leaf caught in the storm. I don't want to speak this anymore, but this is my language, my uninvited inheritance woven into my very fibers of my being. Now, at the bottom in the notes section, I will have some information for anyone who needs it for themselves or for someone else for the crisis support and the sexual assault and harassment and domestic and dating violence abuse. All right, thank you. See you next time.